So I've just been thinking a lot about these upper bends and how people, how to learn them, how to deal with them. And I really like to think of them as, because people are like, oh, I do the lower bends, it's no big, but the upper bends are more difficult. And it's like, well, no, it's just how you think about them because they really are just a lower bend from a half step up. So the idea here is we've got C to D flat, and those are I want this played like it's a true just perfect half step where down the center and then just add the valves for the D flat. So very simple, and then we sort of bend down and make sure we're blowing through, and you can sort of slide down into that, feeling that change of resistance to the C, for that B3 of the first measure. So it'll be okay. And then once you get to that half note, you're locked. All right, your core and everything, it's locked into place. The air is moving through, and then you're just moving back. You're moving the valves back and forth. So okay, and you can give it a try. I'm going to play you the practice track, what this sounds like. So let's see. Hopefully the volume will be right on that. Okay, here we go. Okay, give that a shot and mess around with that for just a second. Feel that change of the resistance. If you don't have your core engaged and have that resistance change happening, I don't think you're going to get the full benefit of, of what I'd like here. So really, it's important to feel that. Okay, give it a shot and let me know if you have any questions. All right, we ready to give this a shot? We got one more at the bottom. Let me see if I can. Is that okay for everybody? Okay, here we go. So this will be from the top, 4 clicks to the first for the first bar, and then it's straight through. So it's just 2 beats in between each line. Okay. Now let's all play together. So that's definitely meant as sort of a shock and a check. Um, the idea is you're probably going to feel, um, the changes in the resistance, and it's going to be not just through those half steps, but in different registers, and as we ascend. But let's play. Let's just play a C right now. How's that feel? The resistance and the response and everything should just be boom, and that's what we want. That's why we do this before the atom routine, so we have that sort of engagement in our playing and awareness of the air and the resistance. And since we're already set up to be listening to that and feeling that resistance in half steps, I think it's a good way to, a good sort of prelude to the atom routine. So without further ado, here we go. Good. That's enough of that. Let's go to some Clarke studies. And I was thinking about these this morning a little bit, and um, just the idea, the concept in my head. You know, we can always be thinking about the notes and oh yeah, try to play this fast and everything like that. And that's fine. That's one way to do it. And yes, you do get a good finger exercise out of it. I remember um, take, going to a master class that Vince Chikowitz was giving, and he talked about the Clarke studies are a sound exercise, and in the meantime, you know, you also get a good finger exercise out of the deal. And so if you approach it as a sound exercise, and so something like if we were to like what we usually do here is we'll slur it and then tongue it, slur it, tongue it. You can do it any way you want, but when you're slurring, think about just one note, and then when you're tonguing, think about one note. So just sort of that idea of, and you can alternate that. You could go long tone and then a legato, articulated sound happening, and then play the exercise, or you could do it a couple of times just with that idea in mind. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You can play it faster. You can practice your double tonguing, your triple tonguing. So many different ways to practice this, but encourage you to give this a try. Good, good. All right. I've got another exercise for you. Let me look at this here. All right, so this is an exercise from Flexus. These that sort of idea, and it's all slurred and everything. I just didn't have the slurs in, um, but you know this one there. Flexus starts pretty simply, right? It's got the Crusoe stuff. There's not there's not a lot of big intervals at first, and then you get this, and this is where I was just I would always overshoot the half step from the third to the fourth note. Um, I was just an absolute train wreck on the way down, and so let's all take a minute, just get this idea in your head, play it nice and slow. So. Play through a couple of times if you'd like, but I think we're going to go through a series of some steps that ought to hopefully make this easier for you. All right. So let's first off just take the exercise and add a bend on the way up. So we're still on the top line. And we'll do a lower bend this time. Okay. Now we're going to alternate every other note bending. So we'll go. Now we'll bend the second note. the same thing with upper bends. Certainly not perfect, but give it a shot. I want another shot at that one. We can alternate these just like that. So we'll do upper bends on the first eighth note. Not perfect. It's okay. The idea, hopefully, as you're seeing this and you're going through it, the center for the note is getting bigger and bigger, and it's even as you hear me struggle through some of these bends, I know that when I put this back together and I play the actual notes, it's already better. It's not exactly where I want it to be just yet, but we've got some more exercises to go through this. So let's look at number one. This is just an extension of the first three notes, just to get that sort of idea in our heads, right? So exercise number one. The good thing about this one, lock everything in at the top of the staff, right? So that G, all you need to do is lift your valve on that. There's nothing else that needs to happen. All right, blow through. Give it a shot. Good. Let's go to number two. The same application of bends that we did to the first line, that can be applied to any of this stuff. So we won't go through that for sake of time today, but just know that if something doesn't quite feel right, add those bends in. Try the lower ones, try the upper ones, and just see what that does to centering the note. So number two is an extension of the fourth, fifth, and sixth note of the very first bar of the exercise. All right, number three, first three is an extension of the first three notes of the second bar of the exercise. So with a little bit extra range on there, you can, this is another idea of, you really don't need to move as you approach that upper register to leave that F to B flat just right where it is. Blow through the end of the B flat as you descend. So at that point, you've isolated the three the three sets of notes in this exercise, and then it's a matter of just paying attention to where those half steps are when you're playing it. So if something doesn't quite feel right, um, go through one, two, and three, and just make sure that those are right down the middle. Add the bends. Um, then when it comes to playing the exercise, paying attention to those half steps when those when it goes from the first exercise to the second to the third and then back to the second, right? So now, once we've got that, sometimes we get like sort of tense or like stiff when it comes to playing exercises. So I always like changing the rhythms up a little bit in order to kind of loosen things up a little bit. So that's what number 4 is about. It's the exercise, but it's just a change in the tempo or the rhythm. And that's okay, whatever comes out. Just try something different with this. This is a good one to maybe slur the first time and articulate the second time. So let's try that one again. You'll do better than I will. And then look at number 5. This is a good way of just changing the feel of the rhythm in setting yourself up to play this triple tongue if you'd like. So. And we'll go to number 6. Just another, it's sort of the opposite of number 4, where we played a longer first note. This is more of a shorter first note to just get that burst of sound. You can alternate slurring or tonguing on this one too. So. give that one a shot. All right. Now, after going through all of this stuff, let's go back to the original exercise and see how we do on that. Everybody give that a shot now, okay? A couple times through. All right. You can turn your mics on now. How'd that go?
Um, I A love those exercises. B, I love that you canonized and broke up like a skeleton way to practice them and to almost forcing is the wrong word, but you're kind of tricking the mind into continuing the airflow always, right? Like you're forcing yourself into always keeping that airflow so it becomes second nature. But I loved when you said burst of sound because I
Yeah.
think that that is it hits on the necessity of like the immediacy of the resonance of your lips and the pure resonancy to have a burst of sound and not like a squeak of sound. So to be like 100% relaxed lips, resonance,
Yeah.
suppleness,
A
air.
release, a release of the air is
Yeah,
another way to put that. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. Well, I mean, so much of the time we think, well, we got to just get that note, that first note, and then we don't continue on with that
Mm-hmm.
air, right? Or sometimes we do the opposite of it. So um, swapping number 4 and number 6, and we'll have different days where sometimes we need that reminder of the immediacy. Sometimes we'll have the days we need that reminder of the follow through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a matter of um, what we need. And I mean, I I made these exercises up on this one just because I was so sick of flipping through the book and, yeah, I can play this, yeah, I can play this, I get to that page, and I
Mm-hmm.
always always would just absolutely you know spray the page with mistakes and awful sounds and everything. I'm like, I'm sick of doing that. So that was the idea of it, where it just got me to a place where, oh, this is a lot easier. And and I don't know about you, but for me, playing the exercise the first couple of times and then going through the page and then playing it at the end, it was like, at the end, that's where I wanted this to be. That's where I wanted this to start, right? And so having that experience anytime we play of I want it to sound and feel this way every time I do it, that's huge, because then you have something you have that memory, you have that feeling that you can go back to. So um, I think every time I pull this sheet up now, it's a little bit easier. And maybe someday I'll pick the sheet up and it'll be great the first time. But that's what we're going for. Cool. Any other questions or comments about any of this stuff? Everybody good? Okay. All right. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Dusty.
Are we okay with the comments afterwards to adding this
Yeah.
onto our post? Okay. All right. Well, so we'll do that. Um, thanks everybody. We'll